For a full decade, he was the world's most wanted man. A ghost, really, pulling the strings of global terror from, well, nobody knew where. This is the story of that hunt, the 10-year search for Osama bin Laden. It's one of the most intense and complex manhunts in modern history. So let's get into how it all went down. So right after the attacks on September 11th, Osama bin Laden just, poof, he vanished. He completely cut himself off from the grid. No phones, no internet, nothing.
Imagine that.
He's running this massive terror network, but he's not leaving a single digital footprint. So for the world's most powerful intelligence agencies, the question was, where do you even start? How do you find a ghost? Well, the hunt kicks off right in the middle of all that chaos, just after the towers fell. The whole world was mobilized, the search was on, and it was urgent. And things moved fast. Incredibly fast. Just 9 days after the attacks, President Bush lays down an ultimatum for the Taliban in Afghanistan: hand over bin Laden. And their response? A flat-out no. They actually called him their guest. So just 2 weeks after that, boom, U.S. forces are on the ground in Afghanistan. The war had officially started. And really, at its heart, it was all about finding this one guy. Now, right at the beginning, investigators got this huge, almost unbelievable lucky break. It sounds like something out of a movie. One of the lead hijackers, Mohammed Atta, his luggage didn't make his connecting flight. So it was just sitting there at the airport. When they opened it up, it was a gold mine. Al-Qaeda training manuals, his last will and testament, the whole shebang. In that moment, any doubt about who was responsible, it was gone. But that early breakthrough, well, it didn't last. What followed was a solid decade of pure frustration. The trail went cold, like instantly, and the CIA just kept hitting one dead end after another. They were so close. In December 2001, the military has him cornered in the Tora Bora Mountains. He's trapped. But bin Laden was clever. He gets on an unsecured radio, one he knows they're listening to, and basically offers to surrender. He just needs a ceasefire, he says, to bring his men down safely. And they fell for it. The bombing stopped, and in that pause, bin Laden, his family, and his bodyguards just slipped away on horseback right across the border into Pakistan. And just like that, he was gone. You see, that close call at Tora Bora taught bin Laden a critical lesson. He immediately put what you could call a ghost protocol into effect. Before 2001, he'd used sat phones and radios, stuff the NSA could track. After 2001, he went completely dark. All of his communication was now done through a tiny circle of trusted human couriers, carrying handwritten notes and USB drives. He made himself invisible to this multi-trillion-dollar surveillance machine just by going completely old school. And the CIA was trying everything. They were getting creative. They printed $25 million rewards on matchboxes and handed them out in Pakistan. They made secret deals to sell mobile phones with hidden tracking chips inside. They had informants everywhere. But none of it worked, because you can't track a signal that doesn't exist. The absolute lowest point in this whole hunt probably came in 2009. The CIA thought they'd finally found their inside man, a doctor who claimed he'd turned on Al-Qaeda and could get them to bin Laden. They flew him to Camp Chapman, a top-secret CIA base. They were so confident they even had a surprise birthday cake waiting for him. But as he met with the agency's top leadership, he detonated a suicide vest. 7 CIA officers were killed. Al-Qaeda had turned their own methods right back on them. But after a decade of failure, the entire manhunt would pivot on a single tiny mistake, a moment of carelessness that would unravel everything for bin Laden. It all came down to one phone call. That's it. In August of 2010, bin Laden's most trusted courier, a guy named Ibrahim al-Kuwaiti, is in the city of Peshawar. And maybe he got lazy, maybe he just wasn't thinking, but for a brief moment, he used his personal cell phone. The CIA, who was constantly monitoring everything, got an instant lock on his location. After years of silence, they finally had a thread to pull. So they didn't arrest him. No, they were patient. They just followed him. They watched as he drove his little white Suzuki Jeep for hours, leading them not to a cave in the mountains, but to this large, heavily fortified compound right in the middle of a quiet suburb called Abbottabad. And this place was just weird. It practically screamed, "I'm hiding someone." It had these massive 18-foot walls with barbed wire on top, way higher than any other house. There were no phone lines, no internet cables running into the property. The people inside burned all their trash instead of putting it out for collection. And, most suspiciously, the third-floor balcony had a 7-foot privacy wall, as if to hide someone from view. And the craziest part? The whole compound was less than a mile from Pakistan's version of West Point. The CIA was sure somebody incredibly important was inside. This discovery kicks off the final high-stakes phase of the whole mission. It was given a code name, Operation Neptune Spear. But how certain were they really? When President Obama asked his team to put a number on it, the answers were all over the map. The lead analyst on the case, he was 90% sure. The team as a whole was around 80%. But the CIA's own deputy director, he put the odds at just 60%. This was anything but a sure thing. It was a calculated and very, very risky gamble. So President Obama was looking at 3 options. 1, just level the whole compound with a B-2 bomber. But that would mean high civilian casualties and all the evidence would be destroyed. 2, a drone strike. Less collateral damage, but bin Laden might escape. Or 3, send in a team of Navy SEALs. Now, this was by far the riskiest option for the soldiers involved. They could even end up in a firefight with the Pakistani military. But it was the only way to get a positive ID and grab that priceless intelligence. He chose the riskiest path. And so, on a night of May 1st, 2011, after 10 long years of searching, the entire hunt came down to just 40 minutes in Abbottabad. The operation started at 12:30 a.m. local time. 2 stealth helicopters swooped in. But just 1 minute into the mission, disaster. One of the choppers crash lands inside the compound. Despite that, the SEALs pushed forward, and by 1:10 a.m., they'd killed Osama bin Laden on the 3rd floor. By 2:10 a.m., they were gone, taking his body and a trove of intelligence with them. That helicopter crash was a critical moment. It was an unexpected aerodynamic effect. The heat from the compound's high walls messed with the rotor wash, and this top-secret stealth helicopter went down. The covert mission was instantly compromised. What was supposed to be a silent operation now had a ticking clock. The SEALs had to get their man and get out before the Pakistani military arrived. Up on that top floor, there was no doubt. The SEALs immediately recognized the tall figure. For absolute confirmation, a translator asked one of bin Laden's daughters who the man was. Through her tears, she confirmed it was her father. That's when the code word was sent to the White House Situation Room, Geronimo EKI. Geronimo, bin Laden's code name. Enemy killed in action. But killing bin Laden wasn't the end of the mission. The final, crucial step was to secure all that intelligence and then erase their tracks. So for the next several minutes, the SEALs basically became intelligence collectors, frantically grabbing every hard drive, document, and DVD they could find. This information would provide an unprecedented look inside Al-Qaeda's operations. Before leaving, they planted explosives on the crashed stealth helicopter, destroying the secret technology, and flew out of Pakistan, carrying the body of the world's most wanted man. So just think about it. A 10-year search, a 40-minute raid, thousands of lives lost along the way, from 9/11 to the bombing at Camp Chapman, and it all ended with the death of one man in a dark room in Pakistan. It brings up a final, pretty heavy question for all of us to consider. What is the ultimate price of justice?